Closing Arguments starts now. And welcome back to Closing Arguments. I'm Michael Ayala in tonight for Vinnie Politan, and we begin this hour in Massachusetts, where controversy continues to surround the case against Karen Reed. Reed is accused of hitting her boyfriend with her car and leaving him to die in the snow. Her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, was a Boston police officer and was found dead outside of a fellow officer's house. Now, Reed has always proclaimed her innocence. She and her attorneys claim that her boyfriend's death is all part of a police cover-up. Take a listen.
So is this a cover-up, and if so, who's leading the cover-up?
Your guess is as good as mine. That's what we're trying to figure out. That's exactly what we're trying to figure out.
Who do you think it is?
Well, certainly the Massachusetts State Police is involved. There are people that were in that house that are involved. Brian Albert is involved. Jennifer McCabe is involved. The rest of the folks that were in that house, there's some level of involvement by every one of them.
It feels we're the only ones fighting for the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe. And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. Just feels like no one else wants it.
Karen, just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
Reed has consistently claimed that her boyfriend was in an altercation inside the house involving other officers and then dumped outside to die. Now, Reed says the police then tried to cover it up and frame her. As a result of these claims, Reed has garnered a large and very passionate group of supporters who show up to her court appearances and make their presence known.
We're right here today, Jim McDermott, and we're not going to be quiet. We're here. We got it.
And now, the residents of Canton, Massachusetts have had a special town meeting. This happened earlier this week. More than 1,700 citizens showed up to a contentious hearing on the issue that has really divided the town. The residents of Canton showed up to vote about having an outside review of the police department over the murder investigation. Let's take a look at some of that meeting now.
I know there's a lot of people that are frustrated with how things have progressed in the town, and I know that people came here for a number of reasons. Some people are coming here tonight to protest or to rally against or because of the arrest of Karen Reed. Some people are unhappy with the results of the last election, and some people are not happy about even having to attend a special town meeting. I have made accommodations for everybody that is here to protest tonight. There is a designated area for them. That is not what this hall is here to do.
I'm kind of questioning, I guess, what are they going to accomplish with this audit? Because I've heard a lot of talk about lack of independent external oversight, compliance with policies isn't monitored, audits are self-reporting, the CPD is afraid of being audited. All right, but when you look up here, and I'm not going to go verbatim here, we're not going to talk about other David and Goliath topics, but you know, when you look up here from an outside auditing, external monitoring perspective, I mean, everything that's being proposed in this motion is covered.
I was wondering if the public or if the committee or Chief Rafferty could speak on behalf of whether there was a proper vetting process done when she was given the position of chief.
That is out of order. Next question. Please, order. Next question.
My next question would be if Chief Rafferty could advise parents on what to do when they have requested a meeting with herself and officers and she will not comply.
All right, so this is going to be your second warning, all right?
I am going to quote our town administrator who recently said of me, Kathy follows the rules, annoyingly so. This is true. I follow every rule, and because of this, I say no, and I put down a lot of things that makes me not a very well-liked person with a lot of the departments. But I'm fine with that because I know I'm following the rules and I'm doing what's best for Canton. I consider this article redundant and a waste of town funds. Therefore, I ask you to join me and vote no on this article.
Nobody likes to have an independent audit done, but when it is done, it shines light on where you're doing things right and where you're doing things where you need to improve. And it is a gift when you find out where you can do better and you improve, and it increases efficiencies.
Everyone in favor, please raise your card. All opposed? All right. The results of our room, I believe the motion passed narrowly. The motion passed narrowly in the gym? Passed narrowly in the gym, and the motion passed narrowly or by a better margin. And so as a result, so as a result, let me call the motion has passed.
In the end, residents voted 903 to 800 in favor of an audit of the Canton Police Department. According to town leaders, the audit is the first of its kind in Canton, a town of approximately 24,000 residents. A maximum of $200,000 has been set aside for this independent review. And again, as the woman said, no one likes an independent audit. All right, let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight in Seattle, Washington, trial attorney, author of Justice in the Age of Judgment, and fellow of the American College of Trial Lawyers, Ann Bremner. Also with us in West Palm Beach, Florida, trial attorney, former police lieutenant Rick King. And joining us by phone in Washington, D.C., the attorney who successfully represented Johnny Depp in his defamation case, and also a fellow of the American College of Trial Lawyers, Ben Chu, is with us. Thank you all for joining me this hour here on the show. And Ann, I'll begin with you. As I said, no one likes an internal audit. I suspect, now, this doesn't seem specifically to be about Karen Reed and her situation, but certainly there seems to be issues between some of the citizens of this town and the police.
Well, absolutely. But I kept thinking, and it's great to be on with you, Michael, I kept thinking to myself, what a brilliant PR campaign by her lawyer to get the whole town turned around, you know, in her favor, because that's really was the instigation of all of this. You know, to come, of course, we have sentiments against the police across the country after the movements that we saw during the pandemic and after. But, you know, I look at this and I think that is very well done and orchestrated by her lawyer to take a case where it looked like she killed her boyfriend. And all of a sudden, you know, the finger's pointing at everybody else, and the community seems to be behind her.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was an incredible move by the attorneys. Anytime, Rick King, that you're going after an established body like a police force, you do have to garner public support. You have to go out there and bang the drum on that issue if that's what you believe. Sometimes it may not be what you believe. But what I want to ask you is, what do you think about the possibilities that, in fact, that is what's going on here? How possible? There's a lot of people who don't think cover-ups like this are even possible. How possible is it? Is it possible that Karen Reed is being set up or framed somehow?
So I'm not one of those people that believe that you can get an organization to be behind some sort of cover-up. You have to get too many people to agree to break the law at one time for a common purpose for one person in this case. And so I don't really believe that there is a total cover-up from an agency perspective. But can there be some people, some investigators who are not acting totally within the guides of the law or whatever they're supposed to be doing as investigators? That's always possible. But I don't know that you can cast that wide net over the whole agency.
You know, what's interesting, Ben Chu, is that there are competing narratives here. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, the defense has been screaming wide and far about this so-called conspiracy. But there is some, as far as some of the evidence in this case, there is testimony by a friend of Reed's that says she saw her with the victim parked outside the house in question here, which is owned by a Boston police officer. Then she left, and when she later called her, She said she hadn't seen her boyfriend since they were at the bar, which was earlier in the night. This was a night out amongst friends, including a lot of BPD, Boston police officers. So there are competing narratives here that this defense is going to have to deal with. All right, looks like we have some technical difficulties with Ben. So, Anna, I will pose that same question to you. There are issues here for the defense to deal with. And to your point earlier, the brilliance of what they're doing is that not a lot of people are talking about this. They're talking about the police.
I know. And that's what I love about it. It's like, look over there, you know, when it's just a straightforward case. And, you know, and then all of a sudden, look at all these guys, you know, and it's like, it's amazing to me that this lawyer was able to pull that off, because I just can't, like, you know, like Rick said, I can't see these people all conspiring in some way, you know, to frame this woman. And yet the whole town is pretty exercised about this. I mean, they're passionate about it. You know, and you look at their signs, you know, they're into it. It's a sight to see, you know, that they've rallied in the way that they have.
Yeah, no question. They showed up in force. And also, Rick King, the police showed up in force. At Cameron Reed's first hearing, they showed up in support of the police. And it was really sort of this weird scene of people who are angry at the police, or at least ready to suggest that they were doing something wrong. The police there again supporting their people, saying that, hey, you know, this is not something that we're involved in. So when you look at a case like this, Rick, how do you determine which direction to go if you're, let's say, the public trying to figure out, hey, is there something going on here? There's a lot of evidence that there's a suggestion it's been planted, that someone went to her driveway and took a broken taillight, dropped it on their driveway. There's also a phone from someone who is related to, I think, the sister-in-law of the Boston police officer who owned the house, who did a search that said, how long does it take to die in the cold? So there's that as well.
So, you know, as someone who has been a police officer and now currently represents police officers in administrative type hearings and criminal hearings as well, you have to recognize that what's going on in Canton is really, or not Canton, I apologize, in Boston, is a dichotomy of what's going on. It's an example of what's going on in our nation. There is a subset of people who are supportive of the police, and there's a subset of people who are not supportive of the police at this point. And what you have to do as a regular citizen in talking about trying to figure out where you kind of lie in a case like this is you got to look at the evidence, and you have to see where the evidence lies out. And I would do the thing that as a criminal defense lawyer we tell people all the time: let's wait until the evidence plays out before you make a decision as to what's going on. And I think, and as you pointed out, there are plenty of issues that the defense has raised in this case, and they've done a great job of framing a narrative. Even to the extent to the public, normally you save that framing for what you're going to do in the courtroom, but they've taken it outside and they've framed it to the public. And so now you have the public galvanized behind you, talking about the issues that you're pointing out. And so they're doing a fantastic job. But when I pull back and say, hey, as the lay citizen, I would hope that what we do is we wait to see how the evidence plays out and see, because some of these things might look shiny when you first look at them, but when you get a little closer, they're not.